And also immediately at that time I knew who the artist was that I wanted to work with. And that is Avijit Dutta, whose show we are enjoying here today. Now the reason that Avijit came to mind was for a few reasons. One is his incredible style. You'll see he has a very strong visual language that is unique. And it was very important to me that we do something that goes beyond the mere illustrations that one sees often in such stamps, but something that has great artistic value. The other connect was that Avijit is from Calcutta, and Calcutta, for those of you who know about Raman, was a very important place. It's where he lived, he worked, he made his discovery before he moved to Bangalore. So there was a Calcutta connection as well. Now this here is the original artwork that was created for the stamp. Now, in order for the artist to actually understand who Raman was and what his work was, we had a process. He came from Calcutta. We visited the Raman Research Institute. We visited the museum, which has the largest one-man collection of minerals and gems, and the artist was really able to understand what was Raman's work about. I'm sure you all know that a lot of Raman's work was centered around light and color and all other such things. And these are things that are very important and interesting for an artist. So there was a lot of inspiration that came from that. We also visited this site, Panchavati, to see where Raman used to live. And Avijit, being from Calcutta, immediately fell in love with this property and its old world charm. And he said, listen, we were planning this show anyway, and he said, can we please do the show in Panchavati? That would be amazing. And we thought, actually, that is fantastic. You're working on a Raman project. This is Raman's home, the old world charm, and it all made a lot of sense, and that's actually why we're here today. Now about the home itself, this is a structure that was built in 1911. Raman himself lived here for about 30 years until the time he died in 1970. And what's really important, and if you look at these works, there are so many different ways in which to interpret them, but one of the things you will see is it's a time warp. People have asked me today if this was Raman's collection of art, and I said actually no. It's been created in the last 11 months almost, but it does look and feel like it's come from another time. Now that is this artist's particular style, and that comes from his keen interest in the past. He is an artist who collects a lot of things, old photographs, black and white, worn out photographs that he finds from old shutdown studios that he buys from antique stores. And he's inspired by all the characters that he sees there that he does not know. And he wonders, who are these people? What is the story behind them? Where were they? You know, what's the background? And all of this comes back into his work. So there is definitely a sense of things from the past that are being brought into life now. I've been saying today actually that you can see some things that are in black and white that have come into color. It's a story of a past life and a rebirth, and all of you standing in the audience today represent the rebirth of this location that has suddenly come to life in the last 2 days. It has been empty and we use it once a year to do various programs, but this is also a story of rebirth and you're all a part of that. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the artist. I'd also like to ask how many people have had a chance to see the film that's screening over there? Already seen? Okay, so then a lot of things will make sense. Everybody else, I welcome you to go and watch it afterwards. It's on the hour and on every half hour. Avijit Dutta, his works are all done actually on canvas. It's not done on wood, which I've been asked numerous times, but it's hard to tell that it's canvas because he treats his canvas a certain way. It's stuck on wood, he applies different materials on it, and he gives it scratches, textures, and all sorts of things that make it feel different. Now if you've watched the film already, or if you're familiar with the city of Calcutta, you'll see that this is a hugely inspiring city that is full of color and texture, and all of these things appear in his work. And that's why even a small detail like the texture is really related to where he's from. Now the interesting thing is that many of these works were created after the visit to the Raman Institute and this house, and therefore there's been a lot of inspiration that has come from those visits and that finds its way into his stories. So for example, the large work of the pigeons there, when we visited the house, there was pigeons here that flew away as we entered, and he thought in his mind, that generations of pigeons have lived here and they have witnessed all of the stories that have happened. So they are also an important part of this, and that has come into his work there. What is beautiful in that work is you will also see, it's almost, he's like an artist from the Renaissance period. You can see how he studies, you can see how he sketches, how he makes notes. He has brought that onto the larger canvas. That is not digitally done. I'm saying that because I've also been asked, it's just done on large scale. You can see his small sketchbooks here. If we look on the other side of the room here, you'll see an incredible large painting with a family standing. Now in this one, for example, a lot of the inspiration for this bougainvilleas that you see has come from his visit to the institute. He also, when he saw this house, he wondered who are the people who lived here over generations. Raman lived here for 30 years with his family, but then there were other people who lived before. And who were they and what was their story? And then that's how this work came up. Now the interesting thing when you look at this is that it's quite haunting. There's almost something spooky in it where you're wondering, like, you know, these people, are they actually, some of them look like they're here in the present, some of them look like they're in the past. So there's kind of different generations, and the timeline is quite complicated. You'll also notice that he uses these kind of rectangular blocks to highlight certain people. Maybe they have an important part in the story. And when you look at the larger canvas, you'll also see that there's one side that is gold and one side that is silver. And the silver part actually, even though this is silver leaf and gold leaf, this represents a more concrete modern era that has taken over what he considers to be the golden ages of the past, when we had these beautiful homes and these beautiful sculptures. So it's also talking about how times are changing, and there is a connection to this house. The good news is this house is here to stay. It will not change. So it will remain part of the golden era. What else can I quickly tell you? Another very important part as you look and enjoy these artworks is that you'll notice the frames are all extremely interesting and very present. None of them are an afterthought. They are all part of a design. When the artist is thinking about his creation, within his sketches and within his notes, the frame is also there. He visits these homes that are being torn down, old homes that are being torn down in Calcutta, and he comes away with these logs of wood which are the door and window frames, which is actually very precious wood which is just lying in the rubble, and he brings them to a new life by making these frames. It's an old Burma teak, it's actually very valuable, but these wood pieces also now have a new life. This is an antique French frame that he has found and restored, and then he's done all the gold leafing himself. And again here it's picked up from the rubble or from an old antique store and brought back to a new life. This frame that you can see that's made of metal has also been gold leafed and brought to life again. Now sometimes he says, here's a frame, what is the story? And sometimes he has the story and what is the frame. Interestingly, the work that's over there was not an existing frame, but was something of his design that helped tell the story of the image that he had. So he's actually drawn the frame and he's created it with different materials such as wood and polyester and all sorts of different materials. It looks like an old frame, but it's what the artist wanted it to be. All of the colors are actually done with tempera, and tempera is an old material. It's what was used in the Renaissance period. It's what the Vatican is painted with, all the frescoes. It is essentially a powder pigment, and then it uses another material to hold it together. In the old days it was, they used eggs. This uses another binding material today. But tempera also gives this old world feel, which is what the artist is looking to express. So folks, I'm going to leave you with that. You're probably going to end up with more answers than questions when you look at the artwork, and that's perfectly fine. That's the beauty of art. It's not a finished and a closed story. It leaves you thinking. For those who have not yet seen the film, please do, because a lot of these things will make a lot more sense, and you'll get to see the background of the artist, his inspiration, and how all of this comes to be. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the artwork. Don't touch anything with your hands, only with your eyes. Enjoy the afternoon. Thank you very much.